The autumn evening enveloped the Dawson. The household lay draped in elongated shadows as the fading sunlight filtered gently through the partially illustrated. Clare Dawson lingered in the curtains. In the hallway, her hand delicately rested on the polished brass. The doorknob of her son's room was caught in a fleeting pause after a long day. At the office, her thoughts were tangled in spreadsheets and impending deadlines. Strange noises emanating from within Peku. With a sense of intrigue, she hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. Not from a place of fear, but rather from a profound and deeply rooted conviction. Intuition suggests that whatever lies ahead is shrouded in mystery. The door would change everything for eternity. Clare had always held a deep sense of pride in the bond she shared with Michael at the age of 19 was profound. Changed from the eager young man she once strolled to school alongside a man enveloped in an air of mystery, withdrawing to the quiet sanctuary of his room. Wrapped in a cocoon of stillness as a dedicated mother, she invested her soul into ensuring he felt adored regardless. The emptiness created by James, her former husband, who had departed 10 years prior, yet the bond they once shared had diminished, and this evening, that emptiness was undeniable. With a calming breath, CLA gently opened the door. The room was softly illuminated, bathed in the warm glow of the desk lamp in the corner, offering the essence of illumination. Michael reclined on his bed, his posture slightly hunched, his body taut with anticipation in his grasp. He took hold of his phone, and his expression shifted, a rich hue of crimson revealing an unmistakable flush of humiliation washed over him as he snapped his. He lifted his gaze as the door slowly creaked open, revealing his eyes filled with anticipation. Were expansive and brimming with surprise, mother, he exclaimed, his voice filled with emotion, quaking with a blend of regret and trepidation. He quickly tucked the phone beneath the pillow shifted as his clumsy movements became apparent. His unease was palpable as CLA's initial impulse took hold. Convey a sense of remorse and step back once more. An unseen force anchored her, keeping her steadfast in that moment. Perhaps it was the manner in which Michael turned away the gaze, or the awareness of his embarrassment transcended the experience of a young person and snared in a individual endeavor. She understood the situation without requiring a quick look at the phone screen. I knocked, and she responded softly, even though her voice remained steady and composed, gentle and evocative, reminiscent of the tone she adopted during Michael's early childhood. With a scraped knee, she stepped into the room, a blend of vulnerability and resilience in her demeanor. Softly closing the door behind her, Michael held his silence, his shoulders pulled inward and his eyes turned away. He appeared to withdraw into his own thoughts. The air carried a delicate mixture of laundry detergent and the unmistakable. The spirit of youth. CLA observed her environment, observing the chaos of textbooks scattered across the bed, abandoned in a moment of distraction, disheveled, and the desk cluttered with an unpredictable blend of ideas and a lack of vitality. The drink cans encapsulated a moment in her. My son's life is disordered, fragile, and in turmoil. This instance remarkably revealed as, "Are you okay?" she inquired after a moment, her voice laced with concern. Tone carefully measured. "I'm all right," he responded, his voice barely rising above a. He subtly shifted his position on their fingers intertwined firmly, a connection that spoke volumes. The lap. CLA gracefully settled on the edge of the bed, maintaining a careful distance. "Michael, there's no reason for you to experience. I'm not embarrassed by this, whatever it may be. Here to assess you." Her words hung in the air, the atmosphere laden with unspoken. Realizing she could sense the warmth of his embarrassment radiating from him. Yet she also sensed something deeper, an intense, unspoken desire for comfort in the bond with Michael. He finally turned to her, his expression a mix of frustration and receptiveness. He expressed, his voice laced with a hint of frustration that she simply wouldn't understand. Infused with bitterness, proceed and offer a day. Clare spoke, her gaze steady and unwavering. Stopped his hands, fidgeting with a hint of anxiety. I was merely captivated by it. It's nothing to worry about, CLA replied with a measured nod, granting him the space to expand when. He did not reply, so she decided to shift the focus, Michael, to you. Understand that you can confide in me about anything. Don't you know I've experienced your age once before? Comprehend the emotions of being perplexed or inquisitive or solitary, the term lingered in the atmosphere, echoing profoundly with both of them. Michael's eyes flickered with acknowledgement, and for the very first time, his posture softened as he began to. I began to speak, but then I paused, feeling a lump in my throat. I'm uncertain about how I want you to perceive me. An unusual sensation, Clare experienced a pang in. Her heart fluttered at his statement. You're not an. Michael, you're not as different as you think. You share common ground with everyone else. Otherwise, people are intricate and full of complexities. That is an essential aspect of maturation. He gazed at her, eyes glistening with unspoken emotions. It's difficult. He revealed his emotions through tears. With a voice that quivers at moments, I discover myself reflecting on my sense of self and my direction in life. Softly rested her hand on his knee, providing comfort that's entirely natural. She responded with a calming voice. You don't must possess all the answers immediately, but there's no need for you to solve it yourself. Solitary. For a brief moment, they lingered in silence, the tension in the room gradually fading away. Clare sensed the burden of her son's challenges reflecting her personal path, navigating the complexities of a failed marriage while raising a young girl, navigating her solitude and facing her own challenges. Emotions of years had passed with her, marked by a lingering sense of inadequacy, focusing on Michael while putting her own needs aside. Longings and aspirations now as she sat with. She questioned whether she had done right by him, doing him a disservice by hiding her. Michael, she said softly, revealing her vulnerabilities. Whatever you're experiencing is completely valid. All right, there's no need for any names between us. You don't have to navigate this journey by yourself. Gazed at her, his face mirroring a captivating blend of relief and uncertainty. Thank you, Mom. Responded gently, his voice overflowing with heartfelt gratitude. Clare acknowledged her, heart burdened yet brimming with a flicker of hope as she rose gracefully, adjusting the fabric of her skirt. She said, I'll give you some space as she moved away. Toward the door, her hand brushed against the doorknob. She hesitated, casting a fleeting look his way, never forgetting the moment. Michael, know that I am always by your side. Nodded, a delicate smile gracing the corners of his lips. I comprehend. CLA stepped into the hallway, softly closing. She leaned against the door behind her. Her thoughts swirled around the encounter, had stirred a deep longing within her. Combination of caring intuition and empathy, and an unsettling consciousness of her own. She comprehended that this was simply solitude, the beginning of a conversation that is destined to evolve. For the time being, she chose to moved forward steadily with the aim of concluding the growing distance that separated them. The evening had deepened into darkness, the last whispers of sunlight gently retreating. Clare paused in the hallway, her hand leaning against the door frame, her heart weighed down by the significance of what she had observed and its possible influence on their relationship. Inhaling deeply, she pivoted gracefully and walked away, leaving the lingering shadows of Michael's room remained in her wake. The questions lingered, suspended in the air. The atmosphere carries the echo of an unspoken truth, silent longing for resolution. The time following CLA's the interaction with Michael was rich with anxiety, her mind racing through the experienced time and again the fragile connection. The bond they had created enveloped her in a blend of solace and unease. Lingered despite her comforting words too. A persistent worry lingered in her mind about him. Could she truly comprehend the weight of Michael? Clare navigated through the struggles of her journey, The organization of the house straightening has been successfully arranged. Area's in search of any distraction to soothe her. Anxiety swelled within her as the hour drew near. At midnight, she nestled into the gentle glow of the softly lit room. Sitting in the living room with a cup of tea, unmoved on the coffee table, she gazing out the window at the serene suburban landscape. The street mirrored her reflection, faint and elusive. Within the glass, this sensation was not unfamiliar to. She found herself lost and alone in a life that once revolved around the theme of motherhood. Michael had grown rapidly, and she had invested so much of her essence into him that she barely recognized the woman she once knew. Had been before his arrival, her thoughts was drawn to James against his will, left when Michael was just 9 years old, and since that moment, she had embraced the obligations of each parent, contributing, put her own needs aside. Yet now, as she addressed this delicate matter with her, she questioned whether her the sacrifices had stripped Michael of the emotional support he genuinely needed. The soft whisper of footsteps broke the silence. As her mind wandered, she cast a glance to discover him lingering in the doorway, his shoulders gently curved as though readying for a potential rejection. Had gracefully transitioned into a simple. He wore a t-shirt and sweatpants, his hair tousled in a charmingly carefree manner. Disheveled, a testament to a night filled with passion. Fitful slumber, or perhaps a complete absence of it. She couldn't sleep, her tone laced with curiosity. Gentle yet resolute, he shook his head, approaching the couch with intention. "I imagine if you were unable to," Claire gestured for him to join her at the table. He complied, upholding a sense of respect. Far away, yet close enough for her to perceive the palpable tension in his posture. For a brief moment of silence enveloped them, interrupted solely by the gentle murmur of in the kitchen. Michael stood by the refrigerator, where she found herself lost in thought. "I've been reflecting on this with a gentle heart. What you expressed previously regarding emotions. Adrift, uncertain of your identity or the path ahead." His purpose was clear as he nodded, his gaze intent and unwavering. "The coffee table's edge is not." Effortlessly, she persisted in choosing her words. "With care, age brings its own unique experiences, numerous anticipations, and at times it seems as if you're charting this journey by yourself, without anyone to assist you in comprehending him." Looked up at her, his eyes searching for comfort. "In her presence, I sense a gentle ebb, as if it seems that everyone else has their lives perfectly organized." But Claire extended her hand, resting it gently. It softly rested on his arm in a tender gesture of comfort that is often misunderstood by many. People express your bewilderment, they effortlessly master it, veiling her expressions. Resonated in his thoughts as he settled back on the. As I sank into the couch, a heavy sigh escaped my lips. "I simply don't. I am confident in my abilities. Sometimes it feels as though I am merely." Claire felt a profound ache at the willingness she longed to provide encouragement and ease the burden he carried, yet she found herself uncertain about how to proceed. Her own past struggles with loneliness and uncertainty had long been eclipsed by her responsibilities, yet they now surfaced, resonating. The deep solitude of those feelings could bring, she spoke after a brief pause. Silence, her voice, a quiver betraying her emotions. "I wish to offer my support. It's not my intention to hold you back. You may experience a sense of solitude in this challenge." He looked at her with a mixture of hope and there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "What do you mean?" Claire paused, her thoughts swirling as she searched for the ideal words. "I mean, there are moments when doubt shrouds our discernment and the presence of a guiding hand. We can truly make a significant impact on someone. We can trust." Michael's expression furrowed his brow, knitting together in confusion akin to that of a therapist. She shook her head, though the notion had fluttered through her mind. "No, not. Indeed, I refer to an individual who genuinely comprehends you, someone who genuinely understands The challenges you faced in that space were palpable. The atmosphere became increasingly confined, growing heavier with the significance of her words. Hung in the atmosphere, Michael's expression transformed his confusion into growth, into a profound sense of ambiguity, unveiling a more delicate aspect of him. Did you just say that, he asked, his voice barely audible? With a subtle nod, Claire acknowledged, her voice barely above a whisper. Her hand lingered gently on his arm. His gaze sought hers. And you would let me? For a fleeting moment, she caught sight of the child there once was, a boy who sought her out for guidance in a realm that often appeared expansive and intimidating. I am uncertain. Mom, it feels unusual. I comprehend her feelings, admitted her voice soft but resolute. Yet frequently, those who hold us close to their hearts are the ones most capable of providing us with the necessary support. My feelings for you, Michael, surpass everything else. Her words seemed to break something apart. Within him, he leaned in, concealing with his face buried in his hands, he felt the weight of his emotions, not wanting to jeopardize what they had. Every word he whispered carried a weight. Soft and unrefined, CLA offered a comforting presence. Her hand rested on his back, her touch both assertive and softly. You need not worry about making any mistakes. Regardless of the emotions you may be feeling or obstacles you may be facing, we will guide them together, step by step. In that moment, the silence enveloped them like a heavy blanket, imbued with emotion while still maintaining a sense of ease. The silence wrapped around them, crafting an opportunity for rejuvenation and the flourishing of. With newfound clarity, Michael raised his gaze held a depth of emotion. Determined yet receptive, he whispered gently, but shall we move forward at a relaxed tempo? I truly prefer not to. Claire radiated a warm and reassuring light, filling her heart completely. Michael took. They lingered for as long as you needed. Together a little while longer, the weight of the conversation evolving into a connection that feels more tolerable. Though challenged, there was an undeniable connection between them. More resilient, now fortified by their preparedness to confront the unspoken. As the first rays of morning light slipped quietly through the window, Claire felt a spark of uncertainty. While there is a sense of hope, it is clear that this is not the ultimate solution. Their challenges, but instead a beginning. Advance a step toward understanding. In a moment of shared understanding, she cast a glance that spoke volumes about their journey toward healing. At Michael, who had comfortably reclined against the couch, his eyes were closed, yet her face exuded a serene calmness in that moment. After what felt like an eternity, she felt that they were truly united as two imperfect souls navigating a intricate universe. Alongside the morning light enveloped the room in a gentle embrace that Claire made with steadfast dedication to assisting her son in discovering his journey, no matter the hour or the challenges that await. At the break of dawn arrived slowly, its light gently permeating the Dawson home, approached with a sense of trepidation. Pursuing an entry, CLA adjusted within the living space. In the cozy confines of the room, she sank into the couch, her neck aching from the long hours spent lost in thought. In a rather awkward position, she had drifted into slumber. Michael lay peacefully asleep beside her, his head gently nestled against the plush cushions, his chest rising and falling in a rhythmic cadence. For a fleeting moment, CLA simply took in the rhythm. His presence stirred within her a blend of weighty emotions and I look forward to continuing our previous conversation. The night had unveiled a connection that lingered between them. It also left her wrestling with unresolved uncertainties that lingered in her mind. She had promised to help him find his way, the obstacles he encountered. Yet the weight of that promise lingered. An invisible force tugs at the atmosphere. Her every thought as Michael stirred from his slumber. The sun had fully risen, casting its warm glow over a room bathed in a warm golden glow. He blinked. Clearing the last traces of slumber, he rubbed his eyes before shifting his attention to CLA. In that fleeting instant, a spark of Vulnerability flickered across his face only to be quickly concealed by a more cautious. With a sleepy demeanor, he mumbled as he sat up that morning. As she stretched in the morning light, Clare replied, gently presenting him with a tender smile. Are you feeling? He shrugged, his gaze drifting away. Positioned on the coffee table, I find myself uncertain. It feels somewhat unusual, I suppose that's. Very well, she responded, her voice gentle yet. Steadfast patience is a noble quality, he acknowledged her with a subtle nod, yet the ensuing silence enveloped the atmosphere. Filled with unspoken feelings, Clare experienced a compelling desire to expand on his thoughts. Yet she held back from pressing him. Instead, she rose and stretched, her jaw expressing dissatisfaction after a night spent. How about we enjoy some breakfast together on the couch? She proposed, trying to introduce A sense of normalcy enveloped the moment, assuring him. Responded while rising to his feet as well. Moved gracefully into the kitchen where the melodic clinking of plates and the gentle hiss of the stove enveloped Clare, creating an intimate atmosphere around them. Lost herself in the delicate art of frying eggs and toasting bread as Michael leaning against the counter, I watched her intently. She felt his gaze on her, a silent presence that stirred something deep within. Even though she opted to remain silent about it, she recognized that he was struggling with. Something stirred within her at last as she arranged. He started to arrange the plates on the table. Discuss with Mom about what happened last night. Lifted her gaze, her expression radiating warmth and allure. What about it? I simply don't want things to create an uncomfortable tension between us, he expressed his. With a quiver in my voice, I mean they have already sort. I appreciate the nuances, but I prefer to keep things uncomplicated. As events unfolded, Clare gracefully settled into her seat. Opposite him, her hands were neatly folded. At the table, Michael spoke, and she responded with her thoughts. Are only peculiar if we permit them to be. What we talked about last evening. Emotions are neither incorrect nor negative. It is. He nodded slowly, a simple gesture laden with complexity. Prodding at his eggs with his fork, he seemed lost in thought. They shared a serene meal in tranquil silence for a fleeting moment. The tension between them escalating and falling like the tide, Cla longed to spoke soothing words of solace, yet she acknowledged the importance of permitting. He finally had the space to reflect on Michael. Shattered the stillness, do you ever feel a sense of inadequacy as though, no matter how hard you try, it will never? Suffice to say, Cla experienced a profound pang in her heart. Her heart raced at his words. It was an unending sensation. She admitted her struggle, particularly. Since your father left, I have felt the burden of expectation to fulfill both roles. Roles for you as a nurturing figure and a guiding presence. In one, yet despite my unwavering efforts, it always felt inadequate as he gazed at her, his face unveiling a mixture of incredible surprise and deep understanding. Indeed, you always seem to have everything in perfect order. She offered a subtle smile, a hint of control in her demeanor. She shook her head, looking at Michael with a mix of disbelief and determination. I still don't understand, but that's the situation. The very core of existence that one can live without. Every detail meticulously planned, determination is key. He nodded once more, his body. The language appears to be softening somewhat. They completed their tasks in a reasonable manner, enjoying a peaceful breakfast in a cozy setting. The earlier tension slowly dissipating. Gone by the moment they had finished the table. Cla detected a glimmer of optimism. Anticipation, even though there remained so much to navigate, she could sense the initial hints of a profound bond blossoming between them, grounded in genuine understanding and compassion. The rest of the day unfolded with a tranquil grace. Michael retreated to his room for a moment of solitude. Seized the moment as time unfolded. Address household responsibilities as she carefully arranged laundry in the living room. Her thoughts meandered back to the discussion they had previously and the potential consequences for their connection as Michael emerged from his room a little later. That afternoon, a soothing tranquility enveloped the surroundings. As they enveloped him, he gracefully sank into the couch. Beside her, effortlessly gathering a wandering. Gently folding the sock with meticulous attention. "Thank you for your consideration." He expressed his support for me, his tone reflecting sincerity. With sincerity, Claire looked at him, her heart full of emotion, overflowing with pride and always affection for Michael, regardless of the circumstances. The situations following what appeared to be in. At long last, she beheld a fleeting vision of eternity. A genuine smile graced his face, a subtle yet captivating expression. A significant sign that they were engaged. The correct course as the light of day slipped away. That evening, they decided to enjoy a film together. An activity that had been brought together. Missing from their lives for months the comforting routine provided a feeling of comfort and a gentle reminder of the ordinary. That, even in the face of uncertainty, they were capable of. Uncover instances of intimacy and joy blossomed as the credits started to roll. A wave of tranquility washed over Claire. A sensation she recognized had long been missing from. For quite a while, her gaze wandered to Michael, having surrendered to the embrace of slumber on the couch beside her, his head resting comfortably, nestled against the cushions, deep within their embrace. She recognized that their journey was only the start, with numerous challenges ahead. Lingering in anticipation for the instant she discovered comfort in being there for him, offering the affection and support he needed to chart her course as she turned off the television and draped him with a blanket, enveloping him in a fresh sense of warmth and comfort. A sense of purpose enveloped her as she did not contain all the answers she carried. Something far more meaningful. Steadfast determination to stand by her son. Whatever happens in that instant as the house enveloped itself in a tranquil hush, Claire realized that she was not simply. She was guiding Michael on his journey. Also uncovering her unique journey.